Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd do something different today. I don't want you to get sick of my face too quickly. So yeah, I thought I'd do a voiceover video, a little commentary. I think that's what they call it anyways. So let's begin. It's the year 2020 and it's clear that Black women are no longer willing to take a back seat, and thank God. In my late teens and early 20s, my favorite TV show was Sex and the City, followed by Friends. I loved Carrie Bradshaw. I loved her freedom, sexual agency, the sense of autonomy she possessed over her life, and that she made mistakes which we didn't penalize her too harshly for, because, well, she was a young woman in a big city navigating life and teaching us all how to live unapologetically. Unfortunately, what Sex and the City failed to do was reflect girls like me. In her 2016 piece for Refinery 29, Vulture magazine's staff writer Hunter Harris aptly stated that Sex and the City was a show that was simultaneously progressive and regressive, where people of color were either stereotypes or punchlines. And Sarah Jessica Parker herself remarked on the fact that, and I quote, "there were no women of color," which is rather unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, it's set in New York City of all places. Isn't this the city that the term melting pot was coined? Anyways, similarly with Friends, which I would later learn was a spin-off from the Black sitcom Living Single, the identity of Black people were almost woefully eclipsed. I remember during a school trip to Poland when I was 17 and being one of 2 Black people in the company of about 20 white youngsters from all over the UK. The other Black girl and I pretty much stuck together, as you'd probably expect. In the evenings, we'd gather at the hotel lobby and we would all watch Friends. It was then that it dawned on me that this universal show, which we all loved and celebrated, failed to reflect people like me. For all the white kids in that lobby, Ross, Monica, Chandler, Phoebe, or Rachel were realistic characters in more ways than one. The lack of representation for people like me only pushed me to exist on the periphery of their worlds. I only came alive in movies where inner city crime, gangs, and women with sassy attitude and tall hair could be found. Now, excuse me, this is not an analysis of the shows. I'm simply aiming to highlight the erasure of Black people, particularly Black women in popular mainstream television, and kind of the impact it's had on girls like me. Of course, there were other shows, thank God, which existed alongside Friends and Sex and the City, which catered to a Black audience and helped to fill some of that void. So shows like Girlfriends, I know you remember Girlfriends, it was a hit, All of Us, The Bernie Mac Show, etc. But none rose to the same level of popularity or amassed the same degree of diverse followership. And I guess that's what still nags at me. Like, they had that opportunity to include people and storylines which would help humanize Black and brown people for millions of viewers worldwide, and they simply didn't. But hey, we move. We can't dwell in the past because we've been taking up space as we should. I would argue that the emergence of Shonda Rhimes and Ava DuVernay, we've been blessed with hit shows like Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, and Queen Sugar, which I love. And in all of this, you have Black females at the center. They take the center stage and the characters are well developed, they're complex, they're relatable, they're funny, they are complicated. And in hiring Black women specifically, both Rhimes and DuVernay have empowered us to tell well-rounded stories truly reflective of the heterogeneous personality, characteristics, occupations, and spaces that Black females occupy in the modern world and can occupy on television. So Hollywood's attempts to put us in the back seat and have us as props because we weren't considered relatable as leads was utter rubbish. I mean, let's remember how well Girls Trip did at the box office, okay? Anyways, thankfully, I've lived to see some of my childhood favorite books come to the big screen, like Noughts and Crosses, by Mallory Blackman. If you are a fan, you know it was turned into a TV series and it was awesome. I'm seeing many of my awkward, eccentric black female friends, myself included, come to life through creators like Issa Rae. And overall, we are seeing the multi-dimensional, multifaceted lives and experiences of black women being showcased in literature and on the big screen in a way that truly matters and affects change. But of course, there's lots more to do. When I started planning my debut novel, Wildflower, I wasn't only concerned about the diversity of characters, but also telling a story which expanded the experiences of black women. I mean, we don't just reside in England, America, Africa, or the Caribbean. I have cousins who live in Sweden, big up yourself, Efia, Finland, Japan, and Russia. I've seen movies and read books in which white characters venture beyond their home in search of adventure or escape in remote locations all over the world. Their stories are never confined to their place of birth, but too often it seems that black stories are only realistic when set within the context of places we expect to find black people, which I think is quite problematic. So the narrative of Wildflower traces my protagonist from Japan to England and back to Japan, and she frequently relays the experience of growing up in a Ghanaian household and visiting a home in Ghana. Now, like myself, she is shaped by several worlds and cultures and doesn't exist in a homogeneous space. She develops the autonomy and sexual agency I saw in Carrie Bradshaw and admired. She's neither a heroine, but nor is she a villain. She's human. She's not political or an activist, although she remarks in passing in the different ways she's received by Japanese people versus when she travels through Europe or America. And she understands the appeal of Japan for some of the black people she encounters. She's intelligent, whimsical, naive, but self-assured. A great daughter, but a terrible girlfriend. She knows her flaws, but allows herself to get carried away by her desires. You know, like a lot of young adults. And in her actions, she sees herself reflected in her Japanese best friend, in the very same way many of us could see ourselves reflected in many of the white protagonists whose stories we weren't really a part of in any meaningful way. So yeah, I'm excited about the trajectory black female stories are heading, and even more elated to be part of an engine expanding black girl narratives and finally placing black women and girls at the center. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen and watch. I hope this video was okay for you. And I know it's a day late, forgive me. Kind of technical difficulties. It's actually quite difficult putting a video and an audio like together and all this like pictures and GIFs or whatever. But hey ho, we move. Please don't forget to leave a comment, like and subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next time, sayonara baby.